As they say, one person's trash is another person's treasure, and today I'm going to show you how I'm taking this junk and turning it into a money-making opportunity. Let's go. What's going on, everybody? My name is Dave Conry, and I'm on a journey to take my creative output and turn it into 7 figures worth of wealth, and along the way, hopefully bring some of you with me to do the same. And today I'm gonna take what some might consider an unconventional thought and turn it into an opportunity by, just opening our minds and opening our eyes to the things that are around us. A little bit of a backstory on this pile of trash. I was basically just out for a walk. I was enjoying a beautiful sunny Southern California day. I was out for a walk and I walked past this boarded up liquor store. What they've done is they boarded up all the walls and windows with just regular plywood, and then they painted over it all white. My city is known for its one graffiti and street art and opportunities like that, and whenever you see a blank white wall in this town, it's almost like an invitation for somebody to paint over it or do something to it. And that's exactly what happened here. Somebody had taken a wheat pasted piece of art, put it up on the wall, and then when the owners of the building saw it, probably a couple days later, they took out their paint rollers and rolled right over it. And as I walked past the building after what was a couple of storms last week, the paper started to erode a little bit, and I just stopped in my tracks, looked at it for a second, and then just started peeling away, just peeling the stuff off. And the more that I peeled, the more I started to reveal all of these cool things that were happening in here. Look at that. So this is the wall. This is where I tore the stuff off. You can see there's still remnants here. I tore it off of there a couple days ago, and I honestly thought that they were gonna peel it and paint it back over, but it's kind of cool. If you look at it close enough, you can see that there's still remnants of the art underneath, which I thought was pretty rad. Put this down for a sec. Don't worry, I'll clean that up later. And my thinking at the time is like, I'll bring it home and I'll make some art pieces out of it so that I can turn around and sell those. Maybe scan them in, create NFTs out of them, and become multi-million-dollar rich off of just that. But there is a problem with that strategy. And that is, just a few weeks earlier, I had announced to the entire world that I was no longer doing traditional art. I was no longer gonna be doing analog, hand done with my hands in canvas and paint and all that. I'm no longer gonna be getting my fingers dirty with paint. I'm only gonna be doing digital stuff, at least for the foreseeable future. So that brightly colored pile of paper sat on my desk for a week before I started to question whether I even needed it or wanted it anymore. But before I threw it out, I realized, well, I could just scan it in and use it in my digital arts, and then boom, light bulb. Instead of me just scanning it in for my own personal use, I'm gonna scan it all in and then sell it to you. Genius! That's how I'm gonna make my 7 figures, people. Well, that and other things like that. But instead of me just sitting here telling you that I've created a new texture pack, which I'm working on, but it's not available yet. Instead of me just doing that, I'm gonna show you basically the process that I'm going through to get that created, as well as kind of talk to you about some of the pitfalls that I've experienced along the way. Maybe through this, there's an opportunity here for you to go out into your own world, look at the world with a different lens, and see if there's things that you can pull from it to make your own assets that maybe you can add to your own portfolio, either to use by yourself or to sell. Let's get into the nitty gritty. First thing I did is I leafed through that pile of trash and pulled out something that I thought would be a good start. Fired up my computer, turned on Affinity Photo, and then slid that piece of paper onto the scanner bed so that I could scan it in at a high resolution and tweak it. But I kind of experienced some problems, and it's only because this piece of paper isn't perfect. It's creased, it's warped, it's bent, and it didn't lie flat. On the first scan, it got some really crisp areas and called out some really great detail. But then some of the other areas that were a little bit further off the scanner bed didn't quite come into focus. My printer scanner isn't the best. It's like one of those 3-in-1s, print, scan, copy things, and it's it could have done better work. I've trashed this machine quite a bit, and it probably could be better. I probably should get an upgraded scanner at some point, but it seems to do the job most of the time. It just didn't do a very good job this time. So I tried again, but this time what I did is I placed my hand on top of the scanner bed cover and just pressed down to see if that would add to it. The problem is that the scanner cover has this layer that's like soft and squishy, so that, if the scanner cover comes slamming down on top of the bed, that it doesn't smash the glass. And no matter how hard I tried to press on that cover, that sponginess wasn't just, it did a little bit better, but it wasn't quite giving me the results I was looking for. So I put the art back on the scanner, I put a white piece of paper on top of that, and then I found the biggest, heaviest book I could that would fit on the scanner bed surface, and then rescan the whole thing. This is my art history book from college, and it's pretty much sole purpose for the last 2 decades has been to basically weigh things down. Like it's weighing me down right now. I'm gonna go put it away. And this process seemed to work for a little bit, but then I kind of ran into a critical hardware error. Some of these pieces are kind of small, and if I wanted to have them at a size that would make sense for designers to use at high resolution, then I'm gonna need to scan them larger than they actually are. Being that my scanner is old, probably doesn't operate nearly as well as it used to, whenever I would try to get it in higher resolution, like say 600 DPI or even 900 DPI in the case of like this piece right here, I would get these critical errors. And every time it happened, I would have to restart my printer, restart my computer, and start the whole thing all over again. As you can imagine, that got tedious pretty quickly, so I changed direction, and instead of trying to scan everything in, I decided to use my iPhone. Genius! Just from a technical standpoint, this is an iPhone 12 Pro, which takes pretty good pictures. Takes really good pictures. If your hands are really steady and you're using the digital zoom, you can actually get some pretty high quality, detailed imagery from this thing. My hands are not necessarily the steadiest, but this thing tends to compensate for that. As capable as this camera is right here, the Canon 70D with the Rode microphone, this is actually more powerful. It just so happens that I sometimes need to use this while I'm using this. And as high quality as the camera and the digital zoom is on that iPhone, I can take a large image like this, and instead of just getting maybe 1 or 2 out of the scanner bed, I can zoom in and get all kinds of cool textures out of it. Multiply that by all the different pieces of paper that I have, and I've got a serious collection of textures that I'm gonna share with the world. That's enough of me yammering on about possibilities. How about if I go and show you my exact process for turning something like this into something cool for other people? Into the screen! I'll meet you out there. I gotta clean up this mess. So let's take a scrap just like this and turn it into this. Look at the detail of that imagery. That was shot strictly with my iPhone with the macro setting, whatever, and it took that bit right there and turned it into what you see on the screen. And I could probably leave this well enough alone. The color and vibrancy on this particular image looks pretty good. However, I feel like I need to maybe just kind of bring the tonality a little bit together. Like just kind of bring things together to make this a little bit better. And I've been doing this exact process for every single image within this set so that there is like a continuity to everything. So I'm just gonna paste in this group of adjustment layers that I've already created. And you can see if I open this up, I've got a hue and saturation and a levels adjustment. And the brightness of this thing came up pretty high. I'm not gonna touch that just yet. I'm just gonna go about my business for now. And the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a duplicate combined layer, which is Command Option Shift E or Control Alt Shift E for PC people. And it creates a layer on top of that that is basically combining all of those images, everything as it looks as is. With that layer, I'm gonna go up to the blur, and I'm going to Gaussian blur, and I've already got this set up as 1 pixel, but then I'm gonna take the blending mode, and I'm gonna take that down to soft light, and then I'm gonna bring my opacity down to about 50%. Brings up a little bit of the vibrancy back, but it kind of creates this glow, but it's not overpowering. Then I'm gonna do that process again. Command Option Shift E creates a new combined layer right on top, combining all of those elements. And this one, I'm gonna go back up to the filters menu. I'm gonna go to sharpen and high pass. This one you're gonna have to noodle with just to kind of see what works best for you. I just want to bring these whites into, you know, kind of create more like a highlight aspects. Kind of lowering this down to right where I think like that looks good to me. And then I'm gonna change the blending mode of that one to overlay, and again, reduce it down to 50%. So now it may not look like I did too much, but if I select all of these adjustments that I just added and uncheck them so that you can see the original image, quite a bit of difference. Now, personally, I feel like the brightness of that red is a little too much, so I'm gonna go back into my hue and saturation. Let's bring this over here, and I'm just gonna dumb that down a little bit. If I showed you some of the other images that I've already done, you'll notice that that would have been a little too bright compared to some of the ones that I'd already built. The point of these is not to be this overwhelming texture, right? If somebody's gonna use this in something else that they do, it shouldn't dominate. It needs to be complementary. And so they're gonna need to figure out how to do that. And I'm just, you know, I'm not doing too much that it removes all of the contrast, all of the vibrancy. I'm just doing enough to make it, you know, like that it blends a little bit better into whatever they may lay on top of it. So I close that, save that, and there we go. And so far I've got here, you know, just over 20 that I'm doing. I've got plenty more to do. You can see these are all my source images, right? These are the ones that I'm working on right now, and this is what I'm finalizing with. And along with all these full color ones, I'm also going to add these exact same images, but make them monochromatic. Still RGB, so people can use them, you know, in just colors if they want, but keep them, you know, monochromatic, looking almost grayscale-ish, so that, you know, they have options. It's just a little added bonus, and it only takes a little bit extra time on my part, but it also kind of creates this, hey, this guy went above and beyond of what I expected. A little bit of extra added work, but it helps kind of add to the value of the thing, and maybe more people want to purchase it from me because it's got that extra that little you know, a little and that's pretty much it. That's all I do to get these texture packs done, except for all the packaging and the marketing and the social media and all the other stuff that goes with it. Again, as an example, you can see that I have my stuff organized pretty well here. Ghost in the Machine has the files. These are the docs that go with it. These are actually the PDFs that go alongside. When somebody buys something, I include a little PDF in there to like a README file and some other things. I create some promo stuff because obviously I need to just show a little bit more than just hey, look, I created a pack. I create some imagery that shows the pack in action. And you can see these posters or these different setups like this. And then I have some support images, and those go up into social media in different places. I create all these things so that I have the full package, the full branding aspects going, and I keep all my branding in check because I want to make sure that, people understand that it's coming from me and, not some rando. It's all from me. And this way they know. And I believe it's important to do these things because we're designers. We have the skills to make things better. We make things better for customers and clients all the time. Why wouldn't we take that same effort and put it into our own stuff? Put some branding effort, put some marketing effort, put some design aesthetic into our own work to make it beautiful for the people that we want to sell these to, especially considering that the people that we want to sell these to are probably designers or artists or creative people themselves. They're going to appreciate the hard work that we put into making something nice. And speaking of nice things, you should watch that video right there where I teach you how to make your own hand-drawn font or typeface from scratch. Thanks very much, guys. I really appreciate you. Hit the like button if you appreciated this video, and subscribe and hit the bell if you want to see more like that. Remember, be good today, be even better tomorrow. See ya.